Here's a quickish demo of what the anti-slosh module is capable of. I'll show settings 0, 1, 2, 3, 32, and 63 to give a good idea of how the module reacts with stock operation, setting 0, fast filtering, settings 1, 2, and 3, medium filtering, setting 32, and slow filtering, setting 63. So, that was stock operation. First click you hear in that sequence of sounds was my dual pole single throw switch. It has a really heavy action to it. Everything after that was a needle stop thumping against a clear layer of the cluster. This is setting 1. We've already prevented the needle from vibrating against stops at this level. And now setting 2. You'll notice the needle jump a little as I switch into it. This is due to activating one capacitor while shutting off another. The capacitor I enabled was sitting at a previous voltage from when I was testing this earlier. You'll note the red LED in the bottom right corner lighting up roughly the same time the gauge heads towards empty. This is what I'm using to help determine timing of the gauge movement. Now switching to setting 3, the last of the fast filtering I'll be demoing for this video. Now moving to setting 32. You'll see some needle jump from this one as well. By now you've probably noticed that the time it takes for the needle to move downwards is significantly shorter than the time it takes to move up. This is another characteristic of charging and discharging capacitors through resistors, especially when one is variable. This actually works out to an advantage as the actual fuel gauge movement when the ignition is on is almost always in the downward direction, unless you add fuel with the ignition on, in which case it will just take longer than expected for the fuel gauge to rise. Another thing to note is the actual fuel needle movement shouldn't be nearly this quick, as I'm only commanding completely empty and completely full. If the fuel level sender moves and jumps smaller than this, it will take proportionally longer to reach the position the sender is indicating. This slows down needle movement during fuel slosh even further. Near the end of the empty to full sweep, you'll likely notice some notchiness. I'm not entirely certain what is causing this yet, but I'm suspecting it's due to a combination of the way the capacitors charge through a fixed resistor and the quirks of this particular op-amp. Considering the application of a fuel gauge, especially one that would experience vibration, jolts, and otherwise disturb the needle, I don't think this will be noticeable in a real-world application. Manually moving the needle higher and letting it snap back to its commanded position actually seems to move it slightly compared to its previous position. This is a characteristic of a magnetic gauge and actually helps smooth movements on its own. Now to setting 63. The needle is going to jump a bit as all the capacitors are enabled. It'll take a few seconds before the needle actually gets down to the commanded minimum. Now switching back to level 32 and doing some sweeps from 1/4 to 3/4 level. This is still done commanding from full to empty, so it doesn't simulate the fuel level sender moving from 1/4 to 3/4, just needle reaction speed in the middle of the gauge.